You're listening to I Have Some Notes, a podcast supported by listeners like you. To contribute, visit patreon.com/I Have Some Notes.
I have a pitch for you. Scientists discover a portal to other planets.
Love it. Sounds like a great series. We'll do Planet of the Week.
No, it's a movie.
Okay, well, I suppose we could maybe cram a few cool planets into a feature-length runtime, maybe one per act.
No, it's just the one, and it's a desert.
I have some notes.
Welcome, everyone, to I Have Some Notes, the movie podcast with cuts, keeps, punch-ups, and tweaks on mediocre movies. I'm Liam Creswick.
I'm Scott C. Bourgeois.
And I'm Greg Beaver.
And today we are discussing Stargate.
Just
the movie.
Yes, not SG-1, not Atlantis, not any of that other stuff. Just the movie that started it all.
Yeah, another portal-based movie. I love that this has been two movies in a row that could pass for a Doctor Who episode.
Was this either of your first times with Stargate?
Yes.
Really?
I feel like this was my first time watching it from beginning to end. Because I'm pretty sure I was bored the first time and I never finished it. And I was pretty bored this time.
I seem to remember seeing it in theaters when it first came out, and then on TV multiple times after that. I feel like it was one of those ones that Spike TV regularly had on rotation, and you just like caught bits and pieces of it forever after that. But I've definitely seen it through more than once, and it's fun, but also not as good as I remember it being. And maybe that's just my tastes have gotten better. Or it might just be that it doesn't quite hold up.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, I've never seen it, but I watched a lot of the TV series as a kid. My parents were really into it. So I have fond memories of the SG-1, but yeah, this does not comport with how I remember how cool and awesome SG-1 was. So
yeah, this does have the feeling of a pilot for a television series in many ways.
Yeah. Of course, Stargate was released in 1994, directed by Roland Emmerich of Day After Tomorrow fame and 2012, written by Dean Devlin of Universal Soldier and Stargate SG-1/Atlantis writing fame. Good, nice to know they kept it consistent. And it stars Kurt Russell as Colonel Jack O'Neill, James Spader as Dr. Daniel Jackson, and Jay Davidson as Ra.
There's a lot of interesting actors who turn up in this too. Like Jimon Honsu is in this movie as one of the bad guys, one of Ra's heavies, and it was like, wow. Richard Kind is in this movie in a bit part. Like it's just like picking faces out of the crowd was a lot of fun. Where it's just like, hey, it's that guy.
French Stewart.
I'm gonna hit you with French Stewart. I'm gonna hit you with a note right off the top. We meet this wonderful cast of characters at the Stargate facility that we never see again. No more Richard Kind. No more of the Catherine, like the character of the lady who like was there when it was discovered in Giza. Never comes up again.
Nope. There's no resolution to any of their stuff.
I actually thought, when they're at the end when they're going through the wormhole. Again, I figured that there was going to be some kind of denouement, and then the wormhole just ends on the end. And I was like, oh, brutal.
I'm going to point this back to what I said before, that this kind of feels like the pilot to a TV show, because there's a lot of interesting characters that get kind of introduced, and then it's like, maybe we'll continue their story in a sequel or like a little later. And unfortunately, many of those characters never return in the TV series either. So,
damn.
Who does return in the TV series? Is Jack O'Neill, right?
Yeah.
as a character,
comes
but
back.
not Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
Correct.
MacGyver is playing Kurt Russell in the TV series, and there's a new guy playing James Spader in the TV series as well. Because even though he stays behind on the planet at the end of the movie, stuff happens and he rejoins the team back on Earth at the beginning of the new series. So,
this really spun off a lot of content considering what a mid movie it is.
Yeah, decent idea, poor execution, I would say, but a decent idea enough that it captured the imagination of other creators.
Well, and Dean Devlin was involved in a lot of the writing for like the series too. So as Liam was saying earlier, like you got that consistency. Obviously, he was like the series guy, right? So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he wrote a pretty good chunk of Atlantis and somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 to 10 episodes of SG-1. So he was pretty heavily involved, especially in the back half of that franchise. Sorry, Liam, did you say that you were into SG-1?
My parents watched it. I mean, looks like SG-1 ran from 1997 to 2007, so I don't usually get to be the young buck around here. I'm an old man in most places I hang out. But here I get to be like, well, I was only 10 in 1997. So it was, I watched a lot of it in my youth.
So in many ways,
this is like Sequest for us.
Oh, I was going to say this is like your Star Trek: The Next Generation.
A little bit. Yeah. I didn't, I didn't have like deep love. Like I wasn't like, ooh, it's Stargate SG-1 night with the family or anything. But
right.
I have definitely seen more than a few episodes. I think Tillich is the name of the guy with the gold thing on his forehead in the series.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I don't know what his deal is at all.
But that's the level of fandom I'm at.
Are you talking about Talc?
Talc, yes. Oh. Killick's the guy with the bow staff in Soul Calibur.
Yes.
I thought you were talking about Quellic, which is from Galaxy Quest.
Yeah. All of those things and none of those things.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised a movie with Kurt Russell could be this boring.
He's playing a very sedated character, too.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem to have a ton of misses in his filmography. I think he's had a pretty impressive run, especially considering how long he's been making movies. But yeah, this one, it was just boring. It's very slow. Its action seems few and far between, and what action there is really isn't particularly interesting, aside from the cool Egyptian hawk head guys and stuff like that. They looked imposing and scary. That was fun. But yeah, I felt like I was watching a very kind of like a TV series for the most part. Just like the action was spread out so few and far between that you're kind of like, well, did they have the budget to shoot all this stuff? I'm not sure if they did. Yeah,
there is a lot of like TV style direction in this movie.
Mm.
Yeah, actually, now that you pointed out, it plays a lot of stuff pretty like plain and safe.
Mm-hmm.
Like even the non-action beats are pretty obvious and broad in a way that, does make it kind of boring, but it also just doesn't seem like, for a movie that's like, hey, we have a portal to other dimensions, every other choice they make is as inside the box thinking as possible.
Kinda. Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that they're going to like a planet across, I think they said it was on the edge of the universe, as I recall.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks exactly like Earth, and it's just a desert. Like there's nothing about it that is particularly awe-inspiring. And in fact, like the key visual when they make it to the new planet is just another pyramid, which I get like for, what they're trying to accomplish, but like, yeah, nothing about it really inspires any particular awe. And I think that's where it fails for me for the most part.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It doesn't inspire awe, even though it totally makes sense if you're trying to do this, like, aliens made the pyramid and they got here by gate. Of course, the other side of the gate's going to look a lot like Earth and humanity, because it was a bit of a, like, culture swap. But in execution, it makes it not particularly awesome. Yeah.
Well, and to be fair, part of what's baked into the premise here is ancient aliens, right? Mm-hmm. The idea that humans couldn't possibly have built the pyramids. Obviously, someone had to come from another planet and do it. And that, I feel like that's almost like the starting point for this plot is, what if ancient aliens was a thing? How can we have an adventure around that? And the rest kind of unfolds from there. Well, obviously, if we're talking about specifically the pyramids, then the ancient aliens were posing as gods. One of the gods is still around, is a big old jerk, has been enslaving humans on another planet. And now we got to go and blow him up. It seems to me like the plot really does all kind of flow from that first, like, kernel of an idea. And but it's unfortunate that in following through with that, we decided to stick with so much of, like, that in a desert pyramids kind of visual. Like, it could have been more interesting on the other side of the Stargate. And they decided to just make it Indiana Jones. We've seen it before.
Right. I'm just dropping early notes this episode. I don't even care. One of the easiest ways they could have added some flavor, we see exactly one alien beast, that domesticated pack animal that he gets dragged around on, and we see nothing else other than maybe the thing that tastes like chicken. They don't really try to sell us on this being an alien world.
There is a surprising lack of world building.
Yes.
Both in the scope of the alien mystery on Earth and when they actually get to the alien world. It seems to want to get everything done as quickly and efficiently as possible, even though it's really slowly paced, which is kind of a weird a weird combination for this movie.
Well, let's hit the trailer and the plot summary, catch our audience up if they haven't seen this one, and we'll dive into how to make this work.
It has been buried for thousands of years. A mystery. A secret. A threshold to the future.
Where'd you find this? I've never seen anything like this.
One man will break the code and open the door.
Well, this should read Stargate. That was in front of us the whole time.
The other will lead the way.
Why are you here?
I'm here in case you succeed.
Jackson's identified the seventh symbol.
Backup storage, reserve power, on.
What is that?
It's your Stargate.
We've opened a doorway to a world we know nothing about.
The thing has locked itself onto a point somewhere in the Kalium galaxy.
It's on the other side of the known universe.
Your turn now.
They prepared for danger.
Begin final evacuation.
They expected the unknown.
Stabilizing system.
Initiated commencement sequence.
But they could never have imagined this.
In 1928, a strange ring made from unknown materials was uncovered in Giza. Scientists, historians, and G-men have been studying in secret ever since. Enter Egyptologist and linguist Daniel Jackson, whose unique insights and scholarly perspectives on astronomy is just what they need to crack the mystery of how to operate this ancient alien technology. Once the Stargate is activated, Daniel joins the reconnaissance mission to explore what lies beyond, confident he can navigate them home. However, once on the other side, Colonel Jack O'Neill and his armed squad realize returning home won't be as easy as Daniel promised. In their defense, it was a cakewalk for him the first time back on Earth. Forced to explore this bizarre new world they find themselves on, Jack, Daniel, and the boys discover a full-blown civilization with slaves and an oppressive tyrant and everything. Turns out these are the descendants of ancient Egyptians that many generations ago were herded into the Stargate like cattle to toil under an alien overlord representing himself as Ra. The connection between this planet and Egypt has been closed for thousands of years, but with the Stargate reopened, Earth is in danger of Ra's return, and this civilization is in danger of Colonel O'Neill's explosive contingency plan. Our team of Stargateers must overcome language barriers, suicidal ideation, and high-tech lightning javelins to liberate these people and to destroy Ra.
This has nothing to do with anything, but as I'm looking at our show notes, I'm tickled that we've managed to spell Jack O'Neill three different ways.
It's interesting because I believe his name is actually spelled different in the TV series than it is here in the
it's
movie.
Like Neal?
No, I think it's a difference of like 1 or 2 L's, I want to say.
Oh, yeah, I see that here. I proofed it for grammar, not necessarily for spelling.
I knew what you were writing.
Yeah.
I mean, I spelled it a different way too, so it's all good.
There is one notable female character in this movie. 2 if you squint. But the second one is a character who like hires Daniel to the team and then is never seen again, basically, after he leaves through the Stargate. And then there's a love interest on the other side. And she appears to be maybe the only woman in that culture. Hard to say.
Yeah, that's
like we see other women at the party.
Smurfette, yeah.
Yeah, like we see other women at the party, but at the same time, like from then on, she's the only woman we effectively see.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. And given as a gift, that's her introduction.
Yeah,
given
gross.
As a gift. Yeah. Though I
Nita
do
was
like
actually legitimately like, this is real gross.
Yeah, at least our character isn't like, bingo, I'm glad I've traveled to the other side of the universe. Finally. The trad wife I deserve.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I do like that he sort of turns her down and then has to navigate, like, in the same way it'd be rude to turn down the food. He kind of has to be like, well, I'm going to offend them if I turn down the woman, but I'm not going to take this woman as property because I'm a 21st century man who understands consent. Yeah. It's a weird beat. He does the right thing, but it's a weird beat.
It is a little weird. Yeah. Nita and we were watching it remotely with some friends, and we were marveling over how bad everyone is at their job in this movie. Like from the top down, like the people who originally were working on the Stargate, apparently couldn't look down and piece together that there was another symbol there. It took bringing in another guy. That guy agrees to go through the gate, but apparently didn't pack his own gear. And had like just assumed he'd be able to do his job on the other side. The team that sent through is led by a guy with a literal death wish, and none of them seem to be competent soldiers because they're all quickly proven to be bad soldiers and don't do any good soldiering over the course of the movie. They sneak up on the camp of the villagers by like standing on top of a hill, looking at them down the hill through binoculars, wide out in the open, and then are surprised they get spotted. And when you break it down, even Ra and his goons are not good at their jobs. They're all very bad at doing what they're trying to do. Ra gets overthrown by the villagers in 2 days because somebody taught them to read. Like it's real bad, you guys. No one is competent in this movie from the top down, and it's hilarious, but they managed to like fumble their way through the plot.
Yeah.
What I find extremely amusing about the Stargate combination itself is that they had the symbols and order for 6 of the combinations, and then they said, this is as far as we got. And it's like, well, it's just a wheel of symbols. You've got 6. All you gotta do is keep trying, and then you would have got it. You didn't need Daniel at all.
Why not? For 2 years, apparently, they were stymied by this.
Yeah.
And nobody thought we could just trial and error it until the last symbol works. There's a finite number of symbols. There's not 1,000 symbols to go through.
I'll take that one step farther. when Richard Kind has done his best to translate the hieroglyphs into what he thinks is the sentence, he has doorway to heaven, and then Daniel crosses it out and writes Stargate. But like the difference between doorway to heaven and Stargate is pretty minimal when you're talking about constellations. And so for Daniel's big breakthrough to be like, these aren't hieroglyphs, they're constellations. They had doorway to heaven written right there, and no one went, wonder if these are constellations.
Yep.
If it took you 2 years, like try they should have been like, not only should they should have been well past constellations. They should have been trying like cookie recipes and emojis, trying to figure out what these symbols are, if they're that,
Like, there's so many ancient civilizations that use the sky to navigate.
Yeah.
Any historian would have understood this and probably would have been trying that first before anything else. Yeah,
maybe it was one of those things where you're looking so hard for it, you cannot find it, and then you're like, babe, can you come help me find my keys? And then as she walks up, you're like, oh, it's right there. Obviously. God damn it.
Well, and I can forgive Daniel not thinking about it at first, because he's expecting there to be translating hieroglyphs, and these are what he assumes are hieroglyphs he's not familiar with. And it takes a while for it to click for him. But again, the other people have been working on this for 2 years. Come on.
Especially because this is going to be my fixes too. I'll reiterate it in the second half more eloquently. They know it's a gate. They've got stairs leading up to it, ready to go when he cracks the constellation code. Like, they know it's a doorway. They know it's a doorway to heaven. Yeah.
I was amused that they go for it right away after he solves the last symbol. And they're just like, there's no, I guess they're ready to open the portal to another planet immediately. Be damned what it might mean for humanity. They're like, we're just going to go right at this.
Or as one of my buddies said, while we were watching, how did they know that wasn't going to open to the bottom of an ocean or the middle of a sun or hell? What could have come out of that portal instantly?
I had a similar thought, but I also liked that they were just getting to it. It's one of those things where we know from forget Stargate SG-1. You would know from the poster going into this in a movie theater in 1994 that it is about a portal. So you kind of don't necessarily need them dicking around being like, I wonder if this is a portal or
for sure.
a gateway. I'm fine that they went right to it. It's just that they ask you to suspend your disbelief that they would just drop what they're doing and run through the portal first chance they get. But then to get to a sandwormless Arrakis is a drag.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I'm willing to forgive the story moving on at that point. We've solved the mystery. We're going to open the gate. Let's see what's on the other side. Yes, I want to do that as the audience. I don't want to spend the next hour slowly prepping to open the gate. But yeah, the fact that what's on the other side is a little disappointing is kind of a bummer.
Yeah, I mean, at the risk of getting into fixes early, the one thing I thought
lids off this episode. Do it.
The one thing that I thought would have improved the tension greatly is if they had gone through the portal in a way that scientifically made a bit more sense. I realized that, they sent their probe in, and the probe says that the atmosphere is breathable and all that. But you would still go through the portal in protective gear, some manner of spacesuit, hazmat suit, whatever it might be, so that when they get locked on the other side, then there's some tension about how much, oxygen they have in their suits. And, they're running out of, they run out of time, then they're forced to do nothing but take off their suits because they just have to. And then they're having to, go find food because they just don't have enough rations to last however long that they're going to be there. So that one little change could add a lot more drama. And then at least that way, when they've come to the other side and all they see is a pyramid, that isn't like super spectacular. It looks just like Earth or whatever. At least you're going through this little mini play of them trying to survive. And then they can get to the town, and then, maybe the town could be a lot more interesting and have, maybe, and then that is where you get the awe and splendor. Maybe the town is on the edge of an oasis or something like that. Who knows?
Yeah, it's not just a bunch of like dirt hovels.
Yeah. More things made out of that material that they're mining to build the Stargate. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, or like the whole city's made of that or whatever. I mean, it seems like this magnificent city, and yet people are kind of living in squalor because they're being put to work by Ra himself to mine all this stuff, right? Yeah, I mean that there needs to be something that really makes it feel otherworldly, because it doesn't really get that way until you actually see the Ra's henchmen.
Yeah,
who
got
have
the Marvel masks pulling away.
Right, and there's some real cool alien technology at work there, and obviously you get the flying pyramid and stuff. But even like Ra himself is just kind of a dude, which I get. That's sort of part of the plot, but it doesn't feel otherworldly. He just looks like another guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. We haven't said much about what we like, but I think it's not that there's like that much to celebrate or even really condemn about this. It's just kind of like a limp noodle. Like it's just a bit like, it doesn't do anything aggressively wrong. Like if you read a like plot synopsis of this movie, you'd be like, yeah, that's a great skeleton for a script. I bet someone could really make something exciting with that. But it is just like, and then the next obvious thing happens, and then like there's no surprise. Like there's no surprises. There's really not any surprises.
There's some cool stuff, but you're right. There's nothing surprising.
Yeah. Also very strange that I don't know if it's strange or not. Maybe I'm nitpicking, but the fact that Kurt Russell's character, when we meet him, he basically has a gun in his mouth.
Yeah, I did not remember that. And I was like, whoa, this movie starts out way more dark than I remember.
And that's why he's the man for the job. Not because he's capable, not because he knows bombs, not because he's willing to do anything to protect humanity.
Because he's willing to go on a suicide mission.
Yeah. Yeah. And which is a fuck thing. They'd have to have intel to know that this guy's suicidal, and they're like, "Oh, let's go." We'll ask. Like, that's grim. Yeah.
The dialogue of the officers when they're leaving his house in the car is brutal. Like, that guy's messed up. What happened to him? Kid shot himself. Oh, bummer. Like, that's essentially what it boils down to. Just terrible.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm excited to get to my fixes, because our audience had some great fixes. I know I have some that I'm excited to talk about. So instead of sort of, belaboring what a drag this movie is, let's do what we do best here and fix Stargate.
In the ghost town of Boron Ridge, an interdimensional boarding school houses delinquent students from all over the multiverse. The rules are strict. The campus is isolated. The students are forbidden from sneaking into other dimensions, but they do it anyway. This is Slug Blaster.
I heard that you might be interested in slug blasting. I would love to be able to have you on my team. I'm one of the best slug blasters in the school. I have a ton of experience. I've been to so many dimensions.
Esther Infinity, slug blaster documentarian extraordinaire.
I am running for prom queen. Can I count on you?
I'm Slavic, but lots of people just call me Bub or Bubby if they're close.
It's time to play the game. It's time to play Slug Blaster. Ready to play some Slug Blaster?
Quantum Kickflip. Season 3 premieres Wednesday, June 4th.
Welcome back to I Have Some Notes. We're fixing Stargate.
Go
ahead.
No, do you have a big one that you want to start with?
Yeah, I have the one I want to start with is early on.
I also have kind of an early on one.
Okay. Well, let's compare them. Let's compare notes.
Sure.
We've in our plot summary and in our, discussion earlier, we sort of make fun of the fact that he's an Egyptologist, a historian, a linguist, and his big breakthrough is constellations. For sake of conversation, let's say that's fine. They withheld the information that they have this big gnarly device, and they don't really explain that to him until he's cracked the code they need him to crack. Also fine, for sake of conversation. But it really seems like they knew the thing was a gateway. Like they knew it was a doorway to heaven, like I was saying at the beginning, like with the stairs and everything. And so like obviously constellations. Said that at the beginning, you'd think someone would have suggested constellations. So here's my fix to make that a little more believable, how they overlooked constellations. Because I don't have a fix for like a better mystery he could be solving. And the fix is you 86 the staircase and having the probe at the ready. They don't know it's a doorway at all. And in fact, whatever Richard Kind, he had doorway to heaven, it gets crossed out. I think the misunderstanding that the people on Earth had initially, even when they found it in Giza in the 20s, it was a big metal ring laying flat, right? And you see the first scene in the movie is they're lifting it up. Why would your first instinct be to take a ring you found on a ground in an archaeological dig and lift it? Physically put it up on its side. That makes no sense.
I thought that too, yeah.
It's obviously some kind of ritual circle. Ancient civilizations have been drawing circles on the ground for all of history. They should be like, well, it's like a ritual circle. It's a garden. Oh, our translation says Garden of Eden. It's some kind of like place for a ritual to happen. It's a garden. It's a circle. It's a space. And the eureka moment that Daniel has is like, it's not a circle for a ritual or a garden or whatever. It's a doorway. What if we lift it up? And they go, oh, it's a gate. It's not a garden. It's a gate. And that would just make that whole opening chunk make way more sense than the way it is now. Because like the fact that they've already got it upright and erect is insane.
What if, just pitching this out here, what if they did know it was a gate and they have everything at the ready because they've used it already? What if Daniel is brought in to help with a rescue mission? That's my pitch. Rather than show us them piecing together the first time they activate the gate, they've done it. They've been doing it. And they finally have sent a team through, and that team was the one that, like, what happens to O'Neill's team basically happens to that other team. And now they know that they're dealing with the god Ra. So they hire a guy who can speak ancient Egyptian to go and parlay with this angry god on the other side. And that sets in motion a rescue, a slave revolt, and beating up the bad guy. That's my pitch.
That's even simpler version. They send some guys to the other side and they haven't come back, and they go, oh, you know what? There's probably some hieroglyphs on the other side. And those idiots we sent through don't know how to read it. Let's get a linguist to go and get them
Even
home.
That, yeah. Even that. Yeah. Look, we need to send another team
I like
through.
yours better though, because it's same thing. 6 of one, half dozen the other.
Well, and I think it's interesting to put that pressure on Daniel right away to be like, they're testing his knowledge of the language at first. And then they like the first part of the movie, there's still a build up to him being told about the Stargate, but like they're testing him, and then they're asking him like really weird questions that's like seeding the pieces of this mystery, because they're trying to figure out if he's the right guy for the mission. And like they're quizzing him about Egyptian history and mythology and stuff, and he's like, I'm an expert on this. Like, guys, what are you trying to do? And they're like, we need you to talk to Ra. And he's like, what? Like, and then it's revealed Ra is an alien, and we've got this portal, and you need to go and talk to him because he's got a bunch of our dudes, and we need to figure out what's going on because he seems real angry at us. Yeah. We're sending you with Colonel O'Neill. He's the guy who like sent the original recon mission, and now he's going by himself because he feels guilty for having sent that first team through, apparently unprepared. We already know that there's a breathable atmosphere on the other side in this case, so we don't need to worry about the hazmat suits that Greg was talking about earlier. Like it just
fixes two.
Yeah. If they already used the portal, it we streamline all that.
And not only that, in describing what you just described very accurately, you solved two other problems that you didn't even realize you were solving in that pitch.
Fantastic.
One, giving O'Neill guilt about sending the team the first time unprepared is a way better motivation than his kid accidentally shot himself and now he wants to shoot himself. And if they've been using the thing a couple times, they know how it works, and maybe they've even had some correspondence with the team going back and forth, or like not going back and forth, but like, because that's the whole problem. No one's coming back, but like they have some way to communicate with these guys on the other side and know that they're trapped and there's a problem. Then you've got Catherine and Richard Kind and all the people back at the base as a man in the chair type character, and they can have something to do in the third and fourth act, or second and third act.
Yeah, you can have the older lady and Richard Kind feeding them information that they need along the way. Yeah. So. That's why I was like, it should have been a rescue mission from the start. Like, it streamlines the process. It makes it so that you don't have this weird, I'm the one who after 2 years, like, looked down and saw another symbol and was able to figure out what it was. Like, they've already been using it. They've already tested it. They screwed up, and now they need an ancient Egyptian expert to come and help bail them out.
Yeah. No, I dig that. And you can squeeze in my thing about how they had it flat for a while, but just tuck that into some of her exposition. What they've you know, of the 100 years they've been working on this, 50 of it was being like, oh, what if upright?
Yeah, no, for sure. Then, But, and plus, then you have more time to build up Ra, right? Because you seed him early on as the big threat. And you can even say, like, we're concerned that he is a good guy that we've somehow offended. And then it turns out, no, he's actually like an evil alien tech billionaire who's turning humans into chattel slavery like real billionaires are. Yeah. Like, it works.
I like that idea of like, oh, maybe he's a reasonable guy and there's just been this communication.
Like, it was a bad first contact. Yeah.
Because that's the whole driving premise of a much better movie that operates on a similar premise, Arrival, where they send in the linguist to make that first contact.
Yep.
And her whole deal is like, we got to do this carefully, because if we fuck it up, we can offend someone and cause problems.
Well, that's why they're testing him. That's why they seek him out specifically. And like, you can even plug in, and this is part of Colonel O'Neill's guilt. The military took control of this when they realized it was a portal. They sent in a team unprepared, and they fumbled their first contact. And the civilian aspects of the Stargate program are the ones who are like, we should have sent scientists through, not military guys. And we're doing it right this time. There's a scientist going through with your rescue mission. He's going to talk to these people. And then, of course, because he finds out, oh, these people are number one, humans. They're slaves. Ra's a dick, and we're going to blow him up. Like, this is going to happen now.
And again, this solves another problem. This was one of my other notes, and it was more of a note than a fix. Like, you know, sometimes we point out problems, and sometimes we point out problems and then a potential solution. And I'm glad you've given me the potential solution. When we finally find out what his whole deal is, when Daniel finally learns to communicate with his new child bride, it's just like a dump of like hieroglyphics and exposition of him being like, oh, Ra went to Earth. Ra wrangled up the guys. He's brought him back to the planet to build the pyramids here, build the pyramids there.
It's real bad.
Earth got pissed off. Literally yeeted him back into the portal, sealed it up for 1,000 years. It all comes out over the span of like 2 minutes. And what you've proposed, Scott, if we learn that Ra is there earlier, then the reveal in that moment with all the hieroglyphs is where they learn, oh, he's actually just a power-hungry, immortal alien, not a benevolent god, not even a malevolent god, an alien with a grudge, and not a god at all. We've just sort of taken all that exposition and massaged it out a little and not dumped it all at once.
Yep.
By planting some of the like world building details first, and then the reveal is he's an alien, not a god, and not everything.
Yeah. No, I agree. By seeding him earlier, we have more time to learn his deal, and we have more time to build him up as a villain than him showing up like 2/3 of the way through the movie in his starship and then dumping all of the exposition all at once.
Yeah. Dig it.
Yeah,
Greg, what do you got?
what I really quite like about that is, obviously, Scott, you've decided that Daniel is not a good POV character, and you've found a way of making him a good central character, right? So I went at it a different way. I decided to take a look at O'Neill and how I could ramp up his tragedy in order to better facilitate the kind of arc that they didn't complete with O'Neill.
Mm-hmm.
So I just figured that he would, through some sort of, it doesn't have to be a kid accidentally shooting himself. It can just be, a standard accident, lost his family, or it could even be a situation where, he was in command overseas. His family was with him. They got attacked and he feels responsible for their deaths. Whatever it might be. The point is he is now alone and left, without a family. So we're experiencing most of the, ramp up of the Stargate through his eyes rather than Daniel's. Daniel's is someone that's already there. He's one of the, scientists. And then maybe I think Richard Kind could be part of, that, scientist team that goes with them. So you get, a couple folks that are, sort of some redundancy, when you go through the Stargate, having more than just one translator, or, when you go through. But I think this opens up the opportunity for O'Neill and Jackson to have some real tension, because Daniels is thinking about everything from a very scientific perspective, and O'Neill is just trying to get the mission done, and you can play that off of one another quite a bit. But the arc of what I'm thinking is that instead of Daniels meeting someone, you don't really need to have like a love interest at all, really. But because O'Neill meets the kid and he bonds with the kid, there's your person that should stay on the other side of the gate, because his arc is finding a new lease on life, a new reason to live, and someone else to take care of, him earning and developing a family in the Stargate, and then being the one that stays, and the person, who is, most interested in all the Egyptology stuff ends up going back, I think creates some sort of a little bit of dramatic irony as well. I think it'd just be a much more satisfying arc that way.
Yeah. Especially if he's going to be like, I got to stay to blow up this bomb. And now he's like, I got to stay to raise my surrogate family.
Right. Yeah. He like, there's a real big choice and change for him. Right. Whereas as the movie is written now, nobody really does that. Daniels, he likes Egypt and
Jackson.
He stays in Egypt.
Calling him Daniels. His name is Daniel Jackson.
Daniel, sorry. Who am I thinking of? There's guy. I feel like
Jeff Daniels.
Am I thinking of Prometheus? Maybe is there a Daniels in Prometheus? Anyway,
I realized I don't know why they chose to do this. Colonel Jack O'Neill and Dr. Daniel Jackson. Both guys have Jack in their name, which is like screenwriting 101. Don't do that. Sorry.
Yeah, fair. I mean, I just feel like seeing everything through the Colonel's eyes makes more sense, because then your POV character is more of a fish out of water. So you're having to have all of the Stargate stuff explained to him. There's a reason why the glyphs, you have to be taught what the glyphs are about. You have to be taught what the combination is about. So there can And you can kind of maybe eliminate the mystery. It's more of like this guy is just there to facilitate the first entry into the portal kind of thing, right?
I think that there's a way to marry both of these ideas in that we can still have it be a rescue mission that Jackson is brought in for specifically, while still giving O'Neill a much better character arc, and maybe still having him be the guy who decides to stay behind because he has found that surrogate family.
And to maybe be the one to make a connection with a local that helps show me where you saw this symbol, and takes him into the back catacombs, and he goes, holy shit, there's a lot of hieroglyphs, and goes and gets James Spader. Instead of the other way around where, Jack Daniels, the scientist gets led by the hand by the local to the ancient trove of exposition.
Yeah.
And then goes, oh, ding, 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 exposition, and goes and gets Kurt Russell. Yeah. Flip it.
Or Jack gets a moment where Daniel is overthinking things because, his head is filled with all this, this knowledge or whatever. And Jack just says something very plainly, and that solves the mystery for them. And typical run of the mill action sci-fi type stuff.
Kirk. Yeah.
Yeah.
We can also agree that maybe the planet on the other side of the portal should have been more exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
for
sure.
At least one more alien. We got a big alien beast. Give me a little alien beast.
Couple more alien beasts. Maybe more than one terrain. Maybe not just the middle of a desert. Maybe the city, as you say, could be by an oasis so that we get some texture instead of just brown the whole way through.
Yeah,
for sure. I you want the characters. If someone's going to stay there, I think it's important for that city to feel like it can be a home, and to feel like it's a place that that's worth saving. Not that brown homes aren't worth saving, I guess. So, a home is a home, but I just think that adding that little bit of awe and especially if it's just at the outside, the city looks kind of crappy, but then there's just this inner beauty to it. Maybe it doesn't have to be an oasis. It could be just a vibrant bazaar or something like that, where it's just despite the fact that they're oppressed, there's this amazing culture that's going on.
Or because we're kind of ragging on Desert Planet for being boring, if we, instead of trying to, we can do that too, embellish the desert planet and the ancient Egyptian civilization and the people in the immediate location, learning just a little bit more about the alien species Ra and his guys come from, because they've got fucking TIE fighters. They've got a giant pyramid that comes down and eats other pyramids. They've got full on Battlestar Galactica warbirds. They're a little bit about what their deal is might have been nice.
I'm also going to just pitch something. Why did it have to be a desert planet at all? Would it have been interesting to see Egyptian iconography and architecture and stuff completely out of context, like in a swamp or something? Mm-hmm. That might have been cool too. Just to be just because all this stuff was built by aliens in a desert on our planet doesn't necessarily mean it was built in a desert on another planet, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's what I was sort of saying at the beginning of a lot of these are very inside the box thinking.
Yeah.
They don't want to interrogate these ideas, but find the very obvious, we've got a great sci-fi premise and then it's going to unfold in a really plain, obvious way. Yeah. Why pyramids at all? Exactly what you were saying, Scott. What does Egyptian iconography look like in a tropical context? But also why pyramids? Maybe there's something inherent to this world that makes architecture be
their ships are shaped like pyramids, and those are obviously landing pads. So
yeah.
But even a simple explanation like that, rather than me inferring that, which I have done, might have been in order. And that could play into having more time to learn about Ra and having more time to learn about the culture he comes from and how it has affected ancient Egyptian culture, right?
It took me a minute to realize what you meant when you're like, oh, it's a landing pad. I'm like, oh yeah, it's like a little pyramid shaped nub for the pyramid shaped ship to sit on. In the same way, if you didn't know what a bicycle was and you saw a bike rack, you'd be like, why is it shaped like that?
Exactly.
Oh, it's to fit a bike. It's to fit a bicycle. Yeah. Like,
but again, I'm inferring that based on what I saw in the movie. It's certainly not explicit.
Yeah.
By the way, was anyone getting Blade Runner vibes from the model of the pyramid? Because it looked very,
On that note, the practical effects stand up pretty good in this movie. Like it still looks pretty slick where they actually like went in with the practical effects. The armor for Horus and for Anubis look great. Ra's ship looks awesome. The miniatures for the city look good. The weird camel monster voiced by Frank Welker looks great with its slimy tongue. Like the practical effects hold up in this film.
Yeah. I wonder if this is the first movie to be like, yo, we've got characters who have big, gaudy headwear that covers their beautiful, handsome celebrity face. How do we have the mask kind of just come on and off? Because they do the Marvel thing where they're like, Horus and Anubis and Ra are like, hey, mask off, and it goes tick, 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 like Iron Man's micro armor. And I'm like, is this maybe the first movie to do that? To figure out the easiest way to marry cool masks with faces is to just have it disappear.
The magic trick.
Might be. Stargate, so influential. Even influenced Marvel down the road.
Yeah. Well, I think with that, we can call Stargate fixed, or at least given the I have some notes treatment. Of course, our note session is not complete without going to our listener comments. Thank you to everyone who contributed. We're gonna start with a mighty one first here, and then go to some of the punchier ones, because Tack has given us quite a lot to think about.
Yes, basically wrote us a whole novel here.
Not quite that long, but yeah,
we like it though. We always appreciate the all the details. It's awesome.
Yes, we'd rather this than I didn't see it. Look like. But we'll take those comments too. Tack says, okay, not sure if I'm fixing anything or creating a bigger mess, but here we go. I want the Earth scenes to happen over the course of several weeks. It can be paced faster, and in universe, it's still a rush job, but they are trying to be thorough and methodical. That's sort of what I was saying by like, they already have stairs leading up to it.
Yeah.
Make the return trip seem like more of a sure thing until they get there and try to go back. Try to hide that rake a little before they step on it. I like that. I'm going to steal that for an improv term. The hiding the rake before you step on it.
That's a good one.
Because we've been using the term blow your load, and that's not as professional. There's an obvious joke to be had, and you get to it too fast, and you don't savor the buildup. Anyway. Now for the big stuff, says Tack. Not my load blowing. I want more diversity in our explorers. We have the military, but also several different kinds of scientists, a political liaison, a reporter, maybe even a rich asshole who bought his way in. It's clear that they all see this as an opportunity in different ways. Mining, housing, tourism, factories, political leverage, military power, solar panels, what have you. I like that. That reminds me of one of the first movies we did on this podcast when I was took on joining the panel was Congo.
Mm-hmm.
Congo has one of Kong Skull Island also has kind of like one of each.
Yeah.
Classic adventure movie trope is you build a party. You don't just have
one
scientist and 8 military guys who hate him. I want to create a direct parallel between American colonialism/militarism and the alien overlords. The only reason we're not the bad guys is that someone else beat us to it. And seeing how the exploitation has hurt the people there will give us some of our heroes pause for reflection. We'll give our heroes some pause for reflection.
Yeah, I like that actually.
Yeah.
The military's short timeline and their secret bomb is there for no better reason than petty politics. It's an election year. The current administration is afraid that the next president won't be tough enough. So better to preempt an invasion now. They don't want to destroy our side because they want to use the Stargate as an energy source without anyone else trying to come back through. I mean, I love blue skying notes and stuff. I think that one's a bit of a hat on a hat. I can buy the classic action movie thing of or sci-fi movie thing is no, we got to destroy them before they destroy us. It's okay if O'Neill and whoever sent him feel that way just for scared myopia reasons. It doesn't necessarily need to tie to some other election on Earth.
Yeah. No, I kind of agree with that. Yep. Yeah. Aaron says a lot of the shots were really repetitive. The bird jets during the fights, some better prep work with their storyboarding would have helped. Should have been a scene where the kids who idolized Kurt Russell came in suddenly wearing his Duke Nukem haircut all of a sudden. He did have a pretty severe flat top.
Yeah.
I noticed that too, because there's a scene toward the end where you have one of the Horus guards getting swallowed up by a crowd of angry rebels. And it's literally the exact same scene that we saw in the flashback to it happening on Earth. And it's did they reuse that same footage? And I think they did.
Yeah. I swear that there was at least 3 shots of Raw that were the exact same shot over and over again. There's in the climax, he's kind of looking out towards whatever's happening, with the rebels or his spaceships flying about or whatever, and it's the same reaction shot every time, but he's looking at something different. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it does feel like they were running out of money a little bit or laziness. I don't know what happened, but yeah.
Also, just to be clear, Kurt Russell had an issue with shooting Raw with a gun when a gaggle of his weird slave children gathered around him to protect him, but absolutely blew those guys up when he blew up the ship, right? That happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Just wanted to make sure we're all on board with that.
Good point.
They absolutely blew up all of those children when they blew up the ship.
Damn. Yeah. That's one of those ones you don't think about till after the whole Clerks second Death Star conversation. There's some contractors on there, man. Wings McGee says, I like the movie, but geez, it's slow. The weapon cocking sound effect really got me. Making the cool gun noise once is cool. Making it over and over again is just annoying. Weird thing to get hung up on, I know.
I didn't even really notice it.
I did because it was very... It didn't seem like it was mixed very well, so it was very loud every time they did it.
Oh, fair enough.
So it was really pronounced.
The sound mix in the movie overall and maybe that was just me watching it on Tubi.
It could be, yeah.
But
I watched it on Tubi as well.
Oh, I watched it on Hoopla.
Ooh,
gang! Wherever in the world you're listening to this, I promise you, your local library has access to a streaming service. Go get your library card, get it all in order, and then get the library streaming service here in Edmonton. Edmonton Public Library gives us access to Canopy and Hoopla, and they both kick ass. So I watched this ad-free, sounded fine to me, on Hoopla.
Oh, well, I had to watch it filled with ads, riddled with ads on Tubi. So I will definitely check out Hoopla.
Well, I'll tell you, it was a treat for me to watch it on Tubi because I felt like it was way less ads than what I'm used to on Crave because I've got the Crave ad package it fucking blows. Holy shit. It's I really wish that someone would watch these movies and television shows and decide when an appropriate ad break is, because it seems to me all they do is every 15 minutes break, and you'll be in the middle of an important plot point and bam, here's 2 minutes of ads. You motherfuckers.
They don't even do it at scene transitions?
No, it's like watching stuff on YouTube and the ad just interrupts everything that you're watching. It's I don't know. Capitalism is just ruining watching experiences. Let me tell you.
I will say that at least on Tubi, the ads were popping up at scene breaks. So it felt like this is a reasonable place to have a commercial break. Yeah.
Tubi's a gentleman about it.
Yeah.
Tubi's
I think
a gentleman about it. I love that.
I think there were 3 for me. I think I only got 3 ad breaks.
Oh, so ours was riddled with it. We had 4 4 or 5.
Yeah.
But we don't have a free Tubi account. We never signed up. We were just watching like the freest of free versions of Tubi.
Oh, I see.
And the friends we were watching with had fewer ads than us. And so we were like, maybe it's because we aren't signed up and signed in. So
there you go. There's the hack.
Yep.
Get 60 seconds less ads by signing up.
We got way off topic.
Send you spam.
Yeah, we got way off topic with that rant, but let's bring it back with Andrew Craig. Conceptually, Stargate is awesome. Unfortunately, that concept was conceived by Dean Devlin and Roland Emmerich. Devlin has gone on to do some great TV shows, and Emmerich has gone on to do more movies with really huge ideas and no sense of character development or continuity. His movies are entertaining in the moment. Independence Day is crazy entertaining, but it isn't a film, it's a ride. Stargate is very much the same. Yeah, I kind of see where that's coming. And this is the team that brought us Independence Day. So,
yeah, I think it's funny because, if usually you could say a lot of things about a Roland Emmerich film, but what you wouldn't say is that it was boring. Like, it might be riddled with horrible plot choices and rote character development and bad jokes, but at least some monuments explode.
Yeah.
And this didn't have any of that. It was pretty boring from start to finish.
Speaking of starts and finishes, it's the finish of this episode. Thank you to everyone who listened. This has been our episode on Stargate. And, thanks for suggesting this one, Greg. I don't know that I would have ever watched it otherwise. And it's nice to give some context to this show I watched with my parents when I was a teenager.
Yeah, and it is worth knowing, like, there's a reason why there were multiple spin-off shows from this. And that is because the shows were quite good. They took this material and ran with it and did more interesting things with it than the movie did. So and that's why I said a couple times, like, this felt very piloty. This felt like they were setting the groundwork for something that could have been bigger. And then they did the bigger thing, and the bigger thing was better.
Yeah. I think of this because I really liked Sliders when I was a kid, and this feels somewhat adjacent to that. I assume that in SG-1 they go to lots of different planets and explore all sorts of different types
of... It very much becomes a Planet of the Week series.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they have a lot of fun with obviously some like plot threads. Like there's alien menaces that they deal with over the course of seasons of television.
Sure.
But they also have like episodic adventures where they go to a backwards planet where everyone's wearing an upside down hat. And yeah.
Yeah. It's more like in Next Generation when they meet the Borg every once in a while type thing. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Gotcha. I was considered, sorry.
Nope.
Go ahead.
Finish your thought.
I always considered Stargate to be on the level of like Hercules or Xena or like one of those like Saturday morning science fiction type things where it was just like of low quality and not worth my time. But you're telling me that it might be worth my time.
Yeah, it might be worth checking out. It's fun if nothing else, and there's some good stuff in there. Yeah. They play with the idea more interestingly. But we were trying to wrap up this episode. So with that said,
I got more notes, Scott.
Apparently. If you have more thoughts about
I
Stargate,
really liked how they conceptualized going through the portal.
If you have more thoughts like these, you can get a hold of us on social media. You can check us out on Blue Sky. We're at ihavesomenotes.bluesky.social. We're over still on Instagram and Facebook at ihavesomenotes.pod on Instagram. I have some notes on Facebook. And of course, the best place to get in touch with us. We're always there. We're talking about crazy stuff. We're talking about movies. We're talking about TV. Who knows? We might start talking about video games. It's our Discord server. You can find the link to that basically on any of the social media accounts I just mentioned, and we'd be happy to get you on board there. In addition to that, you should also give us a little rating and review on whatever podcatcher you're using, because that definitely also helps us out.
And of course, you can visit patreon.com/ihavesomenotes to become an armchair screenwriter. For just $3 a month, you get access to bonus episodes, old and new, as well as a shout out on the podcast. We also just really appreciate that support. So thank you to everyone who's already a patron, and hopefully some more people join and check out the cool content we have behind the paywall there.
Yeah, and you know what? Your payment would be very helpful in us for our next episode, because we are going to the theater to watch Thunderbolts ***.
Hell yeah. Until then, I'm Liam Creswick.
I'm Scott C. Bourgeois.
I'm Greg Beaver. Keep watching the skies and elbows up, Canada.